The early 2000s Disney is an era of film that I think can be a little bit controversial. It's filled with some high highs and some pretty low lows. We have classics like The Emperor's New Groove, which might not have set the box office on fire, but is the premium example of making all your money back and then some on home video release. We have Lilo and Stitch, which, it's just iconic. Truly iconic in every single way. And then there were the box office bombs. The ones that have ended up being forgotten to time. Atlantis the Lost Empire, Treasure Planet. And then some straight up stinkers like Home on the Range and Chicken Little. And for the most part, I think I largely agree with the general consensus surrounding the majority of these films and kind of understand why this era is looked upon as a bit of a dark age for the studio. But there is one film from this era that just hits my nostalgia in all the right ways. So that might contribute to my undying love for it, but yeah, it's Brother Bear. I love me some Brother Bear. I saw it in cinemas way back in December 2003 with my dad and brother. And at the time, who cares about review aggregates and critical opinion? I was a kid. Who gives a damn about box office success? Not little me, that's for sure. And so I saw the film and I enjoyed it a lot. Maybe got a Happy Meal afterwards, back in the good old days where the toys were absolute bangers. I still remember getting my giant Snoopy figurines back in the day, or those Neopet plushies. Oh, that's a blast from the past. Don't make them like that no more. Does anybody remember the Brother Bear toys? I remember they were like transformable. You could have them as an animal, the spirit animal, and then as the man as well. I had Sitka the eagle. But yeah, suffice to say, I loved the film. Everything about it hit my inner child and made me happy. Still does. And for a film from that era, it does seem to have been relatively successful at the box office too. It's not Finding Nemo or anything like that, but it grossed $250 million off a budget of $46 million, so that's decent enough. And remember, at that time, tickets were way less expensive. So if you think about it, probably sold a lot more tickets and had a lot more people watching in cinema than some of Disney's more recent films that had a similar gross. Strange World, Wish. Look at their gross in this era of high-priced tickets. Pathetic. So Brother Bear well and truly drew the crowds, it was successful commercially, and was relatively popular with audiences too. In terms of its approval rating there, it has a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. And obviously that's not the highest approval rating in the world or anything like that, but it's not terrible either, it's just kind of average. And whilst my nostalgia does demand that it be looked on even more favourably, at the same time, I get it. But what did take me by surprise was the less than stellar critical reception. I kind of thought it would have been looked at more favourably, but I guess not. It only has a 37% score, which to me is absurdly low. Absurdly low. Seriously, what are we doing here? Is this reviews from the time of its release? As in, have the Rotten Tomatoes crew trawled through all the archives from the early 2000s? Or is this also some more modern critical perspectives? Regardless, I once again find myself shaking my head at the opinions of critics and wondering whether they enjoy anything at all. Like, come on, how you hating on this? And so my nostalgic heart cannot rest until I fought the good fight and tried to justify why this film is actually a classic, and the reviewers are in fact stinky poo-poo heads. So there. And so I guess we'd better begin. And we'll start by running through the plot of the movie, talking about the narrative, one of the key aspects of your animated movie. So the film has a really solid opening act. We begin our tale following the character of Kenai, a boy on the cusp of manhood who's eager to grow up and earn the respect of the village, just like his brothers before him. But the problem is he's too impatient, too reckless. And whilst his older brother Sitka tries to temper this recklessness, it still remains an issue, and causes him to not take the responsibilities he's already received, like fishing for the village, as seriously as he should. But despite that, in these early scenes we see how close the brothers are, how Sitka, the eldest, pretty much plays the role of parent for the younger two, and how Denahi and Kenai clash heads, although not in the way that feels too serious. It's more a typical banter, teasing, roughhousing scenario, and as a little brother, when Denahi holds down Kenai and tries to drool on him, I felt that. Like, yeah, it gave me the shivers even now. But of course Kenai is a typical meathead at this stage. He only really cares about his feelings and doing what he likes to do, and thus it leads to him not taking care to protect the day's catch and secure the basket properly, allowing bears to steal it, and in his rush to get his totem, the village loses out on a lot of food. And at the same time, he similarly dislikes his totem because it's the bear of love. And after all, love is for girls and sissies because he's a big, strong man. Anyway, the basket of fish gets pinched, like I said. Denahi gets pissed because, well, there's no mass production back then. That basket was handmade, son. It took 2 weeks. I'd be pissed too. And so Kenai goes off to get it, and despite Sitka trying to call him back, Kenai goes off anyway. I mean, it's not like he was walking very fast, so why didn't anybody stop him or go with him? They know a bear stole it. Like, dangerous. Bears are dangerous. Whatever. And here comes one of the first super sad sections of the movie. and one that felt very impressive in its effect, as we've only spent 10 or so minutes in this world, but it doesn't feel like 10 minutes. You felt that bond of brotherhood. You start to care about the characters so quickly. And so in this action sequence where Kenai confronts the bear and gets whooped, leading to his brothers intervening and then eventually Sitka's death, you feel very sad. As, well, despite hardly knowing him, you can see how much Sitka loved his brothers, how much they needed him, how important he was in their lives. You know, the eagle of guidance. That's his totem. But yet, this part where he collapses the glacier to save them, so sad. But such a cool visual. But yeah, tragic, and it still gets me. And then the whole funeral sequence with the song over the top. Man, who's cutting onions in here? The next little chunk of the film's then dedicated to Kenai hunting down the bear, despite it being clear that that will change nothing and that the bear was only defending herself. And as it later becomes clear, she was also defending her cub. Don't mess with the brown bear's cubs, you're gonna get mauled. Anyway, they battle, he's getting whooped, he gets a lucky hit on the bear just as she's charging him down and kills her. And I gotta say, it's such a lucky stab because from what I understand, some of these things can literally tank bullets when they're charging you. But he saves the day, but of course the killing is seen as unjust by the spirits, particularly by the newly minted spirit, Sitka. And so to help guide his brother, he turns him into a bear, and also doesn't bother to tell their other brother Denahi about this. And so now, he thinks he's lost both his older brother and his younger brother in the span of a day. And that's the stuff that mental breakdowns are made of. But despite that, here is where the wholesome starts to return. Kenai finds a little cub named Coda, and they begin traveling together to the Salmon Run, which is near the Mountain of Spirits, where Kenai can be turned back into a man. Kenai slowly starts to get over his hatred for bears, starts to live up to his totem as the Bear of Love, and starts to act like a big brother/father figure to Coda. So he was becoming everything that Sitka was to him, and everything that Sitka wants him to be. And then he even fesses up to the terrible things he did, i.e. murdering Coda's mum, and doesn't make excuses for the fact. He grows as a man and a bear, and he lives up to his brother's example. And meanwhile, remember how we said that losing two brothers is a terrible thing that could lead to a mental breakdown? Well, it does. This dude hunts the bears across so much hostile terrain, all to kill this one bear he thinks took out both his brothers. Even though rationally, he'd think that the bear would not even remember doing this. But he has to get his justice, he has to try. And my god, this poor dude goes through so much in this movie to try and get it done. And then it all culminates in a final confrontation on the Spirit Mountain, where Denahi and Kenai pretty much reenact Kenai's fight with Coda's mum. Sitka then changes him back, the brothers reunite, Coda sees his mum, and Kenai is permanently changed back into a bear and gets his mark on the wall as he's lived up to his totem and became a true man. Oh, I love this movie so much. Like, how can you actually dislike this story? How can you dislike this film? It doesn't linger too long, it only goes for like an hour and 20 minutes. And in that time, you get so much cool shit, so much fun, so much humor, wholesomeness. You love to see it. But I think my favorite element of the entire story, it's not one that I even had when I was a kid. When I was young, I thought the story was fun and exciting. I enjoyed the characters, the voice acting, the jokes. There's a lot of funny jokes in this film, a lot of silliness, a lot of goofiness. They don't shy away from that. But I didn't look any deeper. But as I've grown older, I gotta say this film presents such a refreshing and beautiful take on masculinity and what it means to be a man. Being macho, aggressive, violent, not paying proper care to your chores or home life responsibilities. All of that is framed as negative traits. It's the root of all of Kenai's problems. He didn't put effort into his chores, which lost him the basket. This in turn led him to storm off and try to do things all by himself, which led to Sitka's death, Kenai getting super mad and angry and aggressive, going to avenge him, killing the bear, and getting him cursed. And meanwhile, Denahi has a similar arc in his quest for vengeance, which almost consumes him. And this is all clearly framed as bad things. They suffer for these things. Whilst the positive traits, guidance, looking out for people, wisdom, and most especially love, they are framed as the true way to become a proper man. He's still masculine. You can't deny that. He's still strong, he's still heroic, he's still cool. But ultimately, this story is about his growing paternal love for Coda and how that changes him and allows him to put his mark on the wall with those of his ancestors. Oh, you love to see it. But of course, story and character, it's not the be-all and end-all. Visually, gotta go the visuals next. It's stunning. Like, the characters and whatnot, they look cool, they're well drawn. But for a traditional animation, this has some of the most beautiful backgrounds in Disney history. So detailed, so dynamic. Just gorgeous, and they especially make the action sequences pop. That scene where the glacier collapses is one that I especially enjoy. Like, I feel like the visuals of this era of Disney are very, very underrated. And it's probably because Pixar and DreamWorks were changing the game with 3D animation, but God, sometimes I just miss traditional animation so much in this day and age. Any film these days that has more variety in its style, that for me is a big deal. I'm getting quite tired of all the big studios using just 3D stuff, but that's probably a me problem. I get it's cheaper and easier, but still. Also, just to finish up, as we know, the holy trinity of the animated film: story, visuals, audio. So we'll go audio now, the last one. The voice acting was good, especially Coda. Damn, he did well, that kid. That voice actor was really good. But the real star of the show is the soundtrack. Like, this has got to be one of the most underrated soundtracks in Disney history. Phil Collins is the man, I tell you what. Like, the actual composer, too, yeah. But Phil Collins just pumped out so many goddamn classics for this movie. Great Spirits, No Way Out, Look Through My Eyes, On My Way, Welcome. And that's just the Phil Collins songs. There's also just bangers in the score, like Transformation. Perfect soundtrack. This era of Disney music, deeply underrated in every respect, and this film in particular, deeply underrated in every respect. It slaps. I hope I've convinced you of that, or at least convinced you to give it another watch, give it another chance. The critics are wrong, I promise. Critics are wrong and they're stupid. There, I said it. And so with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the film if you've seen it? You agree with me? Maybe not? Will you give it another chance? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.